on medicine from the sky, and we'll have exactly 3 to 4 minutes.
Good to see you again.
Representatives from the industry and the government organization, a very good morning. In fact, the nation itself was supposed to be in place right now. As you all know, Telangana has been a pioneer using drones for various sectors. In fact, our initiative started way back in 2008 when we came up with a drone framework with a vision to create a dynamic, vibrant drone ecosystem to accelerate adoption as well as economic growth in the state. We have implemented successful projects and also because of the regulations to actually accelerate the implementation of the project. And a very important one is close to our heart. Last August in Taraba district. And now we are taking it to the next stage by actually offering free services in a district called Bhadrachalam, where a drone will actually collect diagnostic samples people who are living in tribal areas. Because we have testing centers, people are not able to actually access the testing center. So we are using drones to pick up those diagnostic samples apart from vaccines and other essential medicine supplies. The kind or range of solutions that we are implementing in Telangana today can be attributed to the rich innovation ecosystem that we have today. And as we speak today, actually morning, sir, a drone pod is being inaugurated in T-Hub, accelerated specifically for drones. It's happening today at around 11:30 or so. So T-Hub, we have another organization called T-Works that actually helps startups to develop a prototype, develop like certain mechanical parts. We have here trained drones. In fact, he has implemented a use case for a afforestation program. It's called Harabara, where we are using drones to drop seed balls. So T-Works helps the startup to develop the mechanical aperture, drop seeds. So the point that I'm trying to make partners who are helping the startups at every stage. Just to give you an example, Research Innovation Circle of Hyderabad. In fact, they drones, I think. We have a use case where we are using drones to spray bioenzymes on lakes and ponds to eradicate mosquitoes. So specialized bioenzyme had to be prepared. We partnered with IISc in chemical technologies. So this is the way collaboration is happening based on the rich innovation ecosystem is driving the adoption of these technologies. So we believe that initiatives that we are implementing would actually help accelerate the vision of making India as a drone hub. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramadi, so much. I would now turn to Mr. Atul Karwal from the National Disaster Response Force on the use of drones for disaster response.
Honorable Minister, very distinguished guests, wish you all a very good morning. I have a small presentation about the use of drones in disaster situations. Can we have it on, please? So we have 3 phases of disaster situations: pre-disaster, during disaster, and post-disaster. So I am going to show you the use of drones in all these 3 situations. Drones are essential equipment as far as disaster management is concerned across the world, and we have applied for authorization of this as far as the NDRF is concerned. So pre-disaster, we can use it for immediate mapping, early warning systems, and for training interventions to make 3D modeling. We are going ahead with simulators for training, and this will help us create those simulation sets. During disasters, we can have a mobile ground control station, and this, the video you see on the top is of the Chamoli disaster which happened in February last year. And this is the footage of that, of a drone going into the tunnel to see where I cannot certainly go. Now the issue here was flying beyond the visual line of sight, so we couldn't go very deep into the tunnel. Then for guiding and rescuing, we can have PA systems, we can have IR cameras, thermal cameras, searchlights, which not only guide the victims but also guide the rescues to find out where are people stranded and how should the rescuers reach there. Then we can have a mobile ground control station, and this, the video you see on the top is of the Chamoli disaster which happened in February last year. And this is the footage of that, of a drone going into the tunnel to see where I cannot certainly go. Now the issue here was flying beyond the visual line of sight, so we couldn't go very deep into the tunnel. Then for guiding and rescuing, we can have PA systems, we can have IR cameras, thermal cameras, searchlights, which not only guide the victims but also guide the rescues to find out where are people stranded and how should the rescuers reach there. Then during CBRF contingencies like the Visakhapatnam saline gas leakage, which happened in May 2020, the local police went to actually exit that place, felt the effect of the gas, and some of them actually fortunately did not suffer any major issue, but they were really uncomfortable with the gas affecting air which they were entering. So a drone can actually prevent that risk coming to the rescue, where a drone can sense the presence of such chemicals or even radioactivity before the rescue enter the area. During disaster, we can use it for delivering medicines, for food, and also interestingly, if you see point number 7 in the Jogar cable car tragedy recently, where the victims had to spend 2 nights and a full day, some of them in cable car before they were rescued. Through drones, we could not deliver food and water, but we could deliver a string, a piece of rope, which could then be used by them to pull up the stuff which helped them sustain. And out of 76 people in that tragedy, we lost 3 lives unfortunately, but 73 were rescued in one piece, better than life. You can access inaccessible areas. Palakkad, where one person got stuck in Kerala in February this year, across the overhang, down a huge cliff, could not be seen unless still a drone was sent down to see where that person had got stuck and therefore be rescued. In a similar case in Mahabaleshwar, 3 years back, a bus had fallen down there, remaining unseen. Without a drone, we could not even see where the bus had finally ended up, whether somebody was alive or not, and drone could give us that visibility in such situations. Post-disaster, we can use it for assessing damage and losses, understanding how it happened, medical supplies can be reached, and some reconstruction can be done for analysis and learning. Advantages you are very sure otherwise aware of. Sound technology is something that we can use in the forest fires as well, which is another priority area which is coming onto our plate, a mandate of NDRF, spare drones, and we can mount certain kinds of sensors on drones to give us more data on what is happening on the ground. Issues we have is their inability to fly in bad weather conditions. How can we use them in near cyclonic conditions? They not get authorized to us. Permissions are a bit of an issue. It should be simplified for disaster situations, certainly. Dependence on GSM or GPS, operational time and payloads need to be improved upon. So the suggestions are here in front of you. We want high battery life, associated with other departments of trials. So incidentally, our new mission is conducting trials on drones for us today and tomorrow at Pune, and teams of the NDRF and other SDRFs also are at Pune to have a look at those trials and take them forward. Collision avoidance, operable payloads, terrain forming sensors which can maintain a certain height in the terrain, it can prevent it from crashing, return to home provisions, night operability, and detection of knife, which can help us rescue more people. Thank you, sir.
Let me thank the President of the NDRF, Mr. Aayog, for a very fascinating presentation. I now turn to Mr. Atul Zainulbhai, Chairman Quality Council of India, who will speak briefly on drones regulatory ecosystem.
Thank you, Honorable Minister and Vice Chairman and CEO of NITI, and all my friends. I was just saying that this is the youngest crowd I've seen in a NITI conference room in quite a while. So I'm delighted actually that it's so wonderful to see that in fact the youth of India and the young people of India are driving forward this major vision. I think starting from the Minister, this is the youngest crowd that we have seen in this conference. All colleagues like us are used to see much older people, so it makes me feel great. I want to talk about the Prime Minister's vision and the vision of the country to make these things move forward quickly. Quality Council of India was very happy to take on the responsibility to try and to put in place a certification system for it. That is a necessity, but the idea is to put it in place so that it is fast, it is fair, and it is broad. Otherwise, it doesn't work, right? So, if we put in place a certification system like food, where it would take a long time to put in place and people couldn't access it, and it would be difficult, we would not be able to move forward as quickly as possible. So, I'm very happy to say that with a lot of effort on everyone's part, including the industry, which is on the technical committee for the standards. Standards are not designed by us; they're designed by the industry, in addition to some of the experts. That in fact the standards are in place. The certification bodies are in place. We have 60 plus applications that are partly in place, and I think within the next week or two manufacturers will be certified. So I think this is at record pace. I don't think we are satisfied with it. We want to be even faster and even more supportive. Anyone who has any questions on what the certification requires, there are YouTube videos that will explain every single thing on it. If you still have any questions, you please call QCI. If you can't get through to anybody, call me. This is really very high priority, and we will do everything possible in the interest of safety and standardization to get this thing done very fast. When you look across any country in the world, this is a very, very fast process of certification and manufacturers coming in and developing quality. And we are all committed absolutely to doing that. The person in charge of the program is just here. Manish, please stand up. Manish, please give your number to everyone. Anyone has any questions at any time of day or night, please call. Because right from the PM on and Minister on down, the message is get it done fast. And I want to do something that is faster than what Atul could do. Atul, everyone knows, is super fast and reacting to everything. So maybe it can do it a little faster. But in all sincerity, the system is in place. It's moving forward. Any help anyone needs to understand what the regulations are, what the certification process is, it's available on YouTube, it's available on our website. If you can't find it, then call us and we will help you through it. And I think in a couple of months, we will have a large number of manufacturers who will be set. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Arjun. Thank you. Thank you so much for this speedy action of the regulatory ecosystem. May I now turn to the Vice Chairman of NITI, Mr. Suman Berry, for his special address on drones.
Honorable Minister of Civil Aviation, Dr. Sindhya, CEO, NITI Aayog, my good friend Adil Zainul Bhai, who I've known in many incarnations, but now Chair of the Quality Council of India, members of this ecosystem, drone ecosystem, but most of all, youngsters, I don't consider myself youngster, in this room, who have brought so much energy to this initiative in NITI Aayog. This I'm very pleased that we work on this. One question that does arise in my mind, and it's not a space I've been watching very closely, is are we being too shy about what we're achieving? Because what I see in the international media is much more about what China is doing. And so this event itself has been a revelation. Second, what we saw in the experience studio, what Zainul Bhai just said about the evolution of standard. I mean, I think all of this is a story that probably is your history more than anything we can do. The system of it. But thirdly, the humanitarian and civilian applications strike me as really extraordinary. I mean, top of history for unity and so I'm pretty proud that my predecessor, particularly the CEO, have national auditors and I know you have a busy schedule and understanding the audience is really so I'm very pleased that you have your first guest as member of the Council of Ministers and we stand ready to support you further in whichever way you can. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Berry. We now turn to a very dynamic minister, Mr. Sindhya, who's taken a series of measures to promote drones and India as a manufacturing nation. And he will spell out his vision to make India as the drone hub of the world. Over to Mr. Sindhya.
Thank you, Mr. Kant. Let me just say this, that it's not only a great pleasure, but it's a great honor to be here. This is a new dynamic. I walked up 5 flights of stairs and I just went through the corridors and I can't tell you, just intangibly, there's an energy field here. And and it's just great to see so many youngsters and the brimming amount of energy which will transform, I firmly believe, India in the years to come. So I want to thank my good friend Amitabh Ganji from the bottom of my heart, and being a proud Indian in terms of what he has done to transform this institution. It has gone from being an institution that was predominantly crowded with people of my age or older to the future of India and the future of the world. And I had with processes that they had in place in Telangana. A girl came up with an idea that why don't we use drones as the first line of action and response when any individual presses the red button on their mobile phone for an emergency. And prior to the police getting in there, that signal should straight away go to a cop station, and the drone should be up in the air, hovering with the camera over the crime site. And therefore, the perpetrators are then warned that the law and order system is in place there. So that's an application that we haven't thought of now with regard to pipelines and agriculture and the Swamitva scheme. These are transforming lives in many ways. So it's a tool and an enabler to transform lives in our country. Cadastral surveys are being done. People are being given land titles. Seed spraying is happening. Pesticide spraying is happening. So applicability is tremendous. But what we needed to have in place prior to that is a policy. And the first thing that I did when I came in as minister is we looked at the old drone policy and we said this completely needs to be rehashed and reviewed. So we brought in a new drone policy in August of last year, did away with the number of forms, 25 to 5, did away with the number of fees, 72 to 4 only forms of fees, made it much more nimble, much more quick, much more effective. But that wasn't the end goal. That was only the beginning. Within a month, we had promised, and Amber today, my joint secretary is seated here, we said we'll bring about an airspace map. We brought in place an airspace map, and mind you, it's a tough ask to be able to map the green, red, and yellow zones across the country. You're talking about interacting with state governments, you're talking about interacting with central government, defense, home, many other governments, and we did that in a period of months. We then brought about a PLI scheme, which was the first, and I must thank the NITI Aayog for assisting us in being able to do that. The fact that we brought in a PLI scheme of 120 crores for an industry that's fledgling at 60 crores, 2x the size of the industry, 40% value addition against 50% value addition across other industries. The fact that you have 20% incentive across the 3-year period, which normally assumes a sliding scale. So these are innovations that we've been working at together to spur this industry on. And finally, the potential. The potential is huge. On the manufacturing side, you're looking at a 5,000 crore investment roughly. You're looking at the creation of 10,000 jobs. On the services side, which is 10x that amount, you're looking at creating a 30,000 crore industry with close to about 10 lakh direct jobs. Today, a drone pilot can be trained, 12th class pass, no college degree required. 2 months, 3 months, he's into his job or into her job. 30,000 rupees a month as a salary. You need close to about 1 lakh drone pilots in the years to come. So the opportunity is tremendous. But what needs to be done? You need to put in place a tripod. The first leg of that tripod is policy making, which government has done. The second leg of that tripod is incentivizing, which we've done through the PLI. And the third leg of that tripod is creation of demand. Today, you've got 12 ministries of government actually leading that charge. Whether it's agriculture, whether it's mining, whether it's Ministry of Rural Development with land records, right? So you put in place the levers that need to be put in place for that explosion to happen. And I'm very confident that with the leadership that we have with our youth in our country, we are going to see that happen. I also want to congratulate NITI Aayog, which along with my ministry, we are heralding 2 competitions today, drones for social impact, which will be a startup competition, as well as robotics workshop and competition under the Atal Tinkering Labs to foster innovation. And I'm sure that these will go a long way. But let me not just stop here. eVTOLs are a reality today. it's not the future, it is the present. I've just been to the US and Canada. eVTOLs are in manufacturing process there, they're being produced. The Air Force and the Defense Forces in both those countries are using eVTOLs, which is always the vanguard. First step before civilian use is brought into this. They are being used as transport aircraft, 6-seaters, 8-seaters. The next step is going to be FAA and EASA certification, after which they will become a reality. We have a number of eVTOL players from the US and Canada that are interested in setting up production centers in India. You need to put the battery charging process, the line up in place along that route as well. Very akin to mobile phones and spectrum and towers. The same principle with regard to eVTOLs. And that has to, I must emphasize, become a reality in India. The Prime Minister's prerogative has always been, India can no longer, and I underline this, no longer be a follower. We need to become a leader. So whether we become the drone hub of the world by 2030, we become the eVTOL leader in the world by 2030, that is something we need to concentrate on under the bigger heading of urban air mobility. Once again, thank you for having me. Let's get on the road.
Thank you so much, sir, for that very, very inspiring inaugural address. We have a vast number of young people who make up for the drone ecosystem in India, from drones manufacturing to drones as a service, to cooperative federalism, to industrial applications, to agriculture, healthcare, to cargo, passenger drones. So we'll have a brief interactive session with the minister. I'm fully aware that VC is caught up in another meeting. Whenever you feel I don't want people to wait there for you as well. So aware, but I invite Sumit Shah, Drone Federation, to quickly moderate the interaction with the industry, and I would request everyone to stick to your time schedule. No one will speak for more than 3 minutes. Over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. It's very
Just to interrupt you, the reason why Mr. Kant is staying there is because I extended my time. Mindful of that, he is re-emphasizing.
Thank you so much, sir. It's really wonderful to see the Honorable Civil Aviation Minister, Vice Chairman of NITI Aayog and CEO of NITI Aayog and various other members of the drone ecosystem be here on a single table and discuss the way forward and various other support mechanisms that will be required to grow the drone ecosystem and make India a global drone hub. Some of the ecosystem efforts that you very well did mention about the 3 pillars. The tripod is the policy, the incentives, as well as government as the market maker. One more very important initiative that usually is not well mentioned, but it's worth noting, is the ban on the import of drones. It actually gives a huge competitive advantage to domestic players, not just for the domestic market, but because there is some sort of a cover for the domestic players, they get to benefit in the domestic market, but also the volume helps them build technology and reliable solutions for the global ecosystem. So that is a fantastic thing that's happened, which is probably the 4th most important thing, because yes, we may have had a little bit of policy issues and we may have taken up the policy liberalization after some time, but this 4th important decision is going to help us catch up, and not just catch up, but be much better than various other ecosystems. We've seen various neighboring countries already reach out to some of the defense manufacturers as well as to some of the logistics and healthcare drone manufacturers. They've been reaching out to them and they are asking for their products and services to be deployed in the neighboring countries. So export is a very major focus that is going to be of the drone federation as well as the industry generally. With that I would want to start the session for the day. And to all the speakers, I request to be specific on the point. Let's look at what more can we do as the ecosystem combined to make sure that we are able to progress further.
So I just, Minister is running against time, so we'll have a detailed session, but I would request everyone to make a key point quickly so that Mr. Kim can be we just have about 7-8 minutes, so everybody can take 1 minute and speak that particular point of view.
So I'll go to Ankit Mehta from Idea Forge. Maybe your thoughts on becoming Atmanirbhar and a large-scale defense drone exporter.
Thank you everyone for having us here. I think it's a great interaction session, and love to share that as demand is increasing, the content of indigenization is naturally going up in everything that we are doing. There is a deep desire in the industry to build as much as possible in our country, and already apart from certain dumb components, at least we are not buying a lot from our northern neighbor as well. So I think that's the first step in de-risking ourselves as a nation, particularly on certain critical sectors. But as the demand is going up, we are seeing that a lot of stuff that was being imported is now being built here, and the quality is being matched and improved going forward. And I think as an indigenization target, I think the target should not just be to build all the dumb components here and earn very low margins. In my view, the Indian industry should focus on building intellectual property, building disruptive advantages, differentiated products, where we can build for the world, because to attract the rest of the world to buy from us, we will have to do that. The rest of the world is not going to buy from us just because we are building it here. They will buy because they are looking at something new, something differentiated to offer, and I think that's something which is going to be very critical. And last piece I want to share is that ultimately we are building hardware, and hardware to go through certification, to go through testing, to go through various motions of being airworthy takes a little bit more time than software in general. In fact, for safety critical systems, particularly urban air mobility, even that takes 10x longer than one can imagine how much time it would take for software to build up. So therefore, I think on some of the parts we'll have to bear patience. The industry will respond and things will converge very, very fast as we continue on this track. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ankit. For rest of the speakers, I would request to be specific on the one ask that you want from the ecosystem and the one thing that you are contributing to, so we can keep the responses short. Next, we have Vignesh from the World Economic Forum. Vignesh, maybe you can share your thoughts on the concept of positive federalism.
Thanks, Smith, and thank you to all the esteemed dignitaries present here today. On behalf of the World Economic Forum, we've been part of some rather interesting initiatives here in India. But that said, I think now more than ever, I think the need for us to draw out a model or draw the center state cooperation down to a science is more urgent now than ever. So if you look at the past 8 to 12 months, so we've seen a lot of very interesting initiatives that have been either state-led or agency-led at the state level. And we've also seen the national frameworks being invoked into this program. The Medicine for the Sky Responsible Scheme being 2 of the many such programs that have come through. That said, it is important for us to navigate this whole internal mechanism between center, state and district, because the real benefit of this technology lies in rural India in our opinion and in our experience of the project that we are undertaking. Now, very recently, in partnership with NITI, Aayog and our colleagues here, we also launched an India-Israel partnership called Disciple, that is the Drone Impact Council for Planning and Knowledge Exchange. We did hear from one of our dignitaries about India not maybe saying enough to the world about what it's doing, but I think with the launch of this alliance, this is something like a quad alliance for drones, which we're planning to launch in the next 6 to 12 months. But I think if we're able to navigate our processes internally, if we're able to master how the state, district and the center coordinate with each other, I think the quad program is something that India can take pole position in. And I think Israel is actually not just a cultural partner, but also we share historic ties with them on a host of engineering subjects. So I'll actually stop at that point and elaborate a bit later.
Thanks, Vignesh. Next, we have Vikas from Rafael. Vikas, maybe you want to share your thoughts on the various industrial applications of drones and the other stuff that you.
Yeah, good morning all of you. I just dive straight to the point, because for this ecosystem to sustain and grow, we need to have strategic materials in place and scientific wings in place, because application is one thing, but in order to become a world leader, we will have to make BLDC motors, we will have to make cells of the batteries. We'll have to make optics and materials. We'll have to make engines run on hydrogen. So we are doing some of them. We have come up with some engines right now. And to the Honorable Minister, we are also making eVTOL. So people are making eVTOL, and these scientific research is going to help us grow in the manner we want to in the world. I'll just say that.
Thank you, Vikas. Next we have Swanand from Mahindra & Mahindra. The various interventions on the agriculture ecosystem and the deployment of drones on a large scale.
Agriculture is definitely one of the important sectors which is getting benefited from the current regulations. If you see Indian farmers, the major pertinent problem which he faces is the availability of resources during the critical crop growing stages, and the spraying is one of the important applications which impacts the
Go ahead.
spraying is one of the important applications which is important, and if you see in Maharashtra or in some other parts of India, so multiple farmers and laborers loses life because of improper spraying applications and the contamination into the fields. So that is immensely harming as a community. But saying that still drone is a very high precision technology from the farmer's perspective, and they will take time to get it adopted by themselves, and it has a potential to get employment at the very ground level, developing the village level entrepreneurs or maybe the farmers who can take it as a part-time job. So there is a need to develop a kind of.
Don't mean that in any less measure than what it portends. The youngsters that I see here, and I just had a brief side conversation with Mr. Kant, from all professional walks of life that have given up their career trajectories to be part of the India story. Both a welcome to all of you and a thanks to all of you, because that's the India that we intend to build under the dynamic leadership of our Prime Minister. That being said, I also have my good friend Suman Berry-ji here, who I've interacted with in many earlier avatars, now as Vice Chairman of NITI Aayog. So welcome, and it's a pleasure to be with you. We have a number of people that have put into action what we have dreamt of sitting here today. From DG of NDRF, Karwalji, Smith Shah, who's TFI, Group Federation of India, to Rama Devi ji, who I've had the pleasure of interacting with on stage in Telangana. She's a fiery speaker on a public space, public platform, which she hasn't done so today. But and Adilji, of course, who his reputation precedes him. So welcome to all of you. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to be at quote unquote the incubator of modern India, which is NITI Aayog, and what you all have done here in the recent past with setting up the adult tinkering labs, with the various technologies that you're bringing in place with your experience studio, whether it be augmented reality, whether it be smart devices, Internet of Things, 3D printing, blockchain, all of these that are words in our lexicon, but you're actually translating this into action. So it's wonderful to be here, and I'm kind of going back to my college days and my days as an investment banker myself. I've told Amitabh Kanji, please call me back. I want to spend more time here, and I want to spend time with all our youngsters and understand their thoughts and their ambitions and interact with all of them. Moving on to today's topic, very briefly, because I see that I have 5 minutes allocated to me, and Amitabh Kanji is a very strict disciplinarian that I have known from my father's time. So I'm going to stick to the time limit. I just want to say this, that we're entering a new age. We're entering a urban mobility age. We've got Kanika ji sitting here also. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that as we enter the internet age, we're actually entering an urban mobility age, a drone age, eVTOL age. And I've said this often in the last 8 or 9 months as I've been exposed to my ministry, that I believe that what we as children saw in science fiction movies is going to become a reality in the next 10 years. So I'm sitting amongst you not as a minister, but as someone who really wants to see translation of thoughts into action. As Adilji just said, as Atulji has just exposition to us, as Ramadevi has shown, application of what we think is the need of the hour. And therefore, the explosion that we are thinking of really looks at is heralding the time that is about to come. And let me tell you that, mind you, that the drone era, as we call it, as Sumanji talked about, this is something that we are not talking about enough. It is something that's new. No, it's not new. And no, it's not 21st century. No, it's not 22nd century. This has been around with us since 1849, when Austria decided to attack Venice and started dropping bombs from hot air balloons. Right? Those were the initial drones, way back almost 200 years ago. But the adaptability of that is coming now. And I'm not going to get into the details of applications because that's where the essence of success lies. And Amitabh and Sumanji both have elucidated and elaborated on that, whether you look at the issue of war, where it's used as a symbol of, as a potent vehicle of asymmetric rule. You've seen that with what's happened in Armenia and Azerbaijan, what you've seen today happening in parts of the world. Whether you look at it from the point of view of law and order, one of the applications and one of the competitive. Wait, let me take this off. Yeah. Thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure, and thank you so much. I owe you for calling me here. Thank you. Well done.